You're listening to old Western stories, where dust settles slow, guns speak loud, and every tale rides straight into your imagination. Hit that subscribe and saddle up, the ride's just startin'. The wind came in low and lonesome across the Cimarron Basin, whisperin' through brittle mesquite like it knew secrets it hadn't quite decided to share. Wade Mercer rode with his coat open and collar high, eyes squinted, gainst the red dust glare that turned the whole sky to rust. He hadn't spoken in 2 days, not since leavin' Pecan Ridge and the sorrel gelding. He'd broke for Old Man Partridge, who paid in coin, not thanks. That suited Wade fine. He wasn't in the business of baying, remembered. But trouble don't ask your name before it finds you. He smelled the smoke first, wagon fire, old and sharp, like grease and timber married by heat. He reined up near a dry arroyo where vultures circled lazy over a stand of cottonwoods. The wagon lay tilted, a charred wheel still twitchin', where flame had burst the rim. Not a soul moved, 'cept one mule half dead and draggin' a leg, and the breeze that carried ash and blood like dark perfume. Wade dismounted quiet, drew iron from habit mourn fear. Bodies, 2, maybe 3. Hard to say which parts belonged to who. And one shadow small, a boy knee-high standin' in soot with a busted tin plate in one hand and a stare too old for any child. Wade said nothing. He rarely did till he had to. The boy looked at the fire-black wreckage, then at Wade like he was tryin' to decide if he'd live another hour. "They was lookin' for something," he said, voice dry as bone. "Didn't find it." Wade sniffed the air. Burned canvas, split marrow, gunpowder maybe a day old. "You got a name?" Wade asked. The boy shook his head. "He never gave me one." Wade looked at the wreckage again, then at the boy. "You eat?" "Not since sunup yesterday." Wade nodded. "You will." He didn't ask more. The boy didn't offer. They rode out slow under that rust sky, Wade in the saddle, the kid bundled in a bedroll behind. Made camp by dusk near a creek that barely trickled over the rocks, more a memory of water than the thing itself. The boy slept under Wade's coat, shiverin' like a hound too long in the rain. Come mornin' he was sittin' upright, whittlin' a stick with Wade's belt knife, careful as an old-timer cuttin' jaw. "You teach horses?" he asked. "Break 'em," Wade said. "Teach 'em don't come natural." The boy looked off a spell. "I reckon I could be broke." Wade didn't answer, just tossed bacon in the pan and let the smell talk. 3 towns later, word caught up. Poster on a wall in Escondido Junction. Raglan Gray. $50 reward, dead or breathin', for robbin' stages, payroll wagons, and killin' 2 marshals east of Tucumcari. But it wasn't the crimes that stung. It was the face, the chin, the eyes, that half-crooked smirk buried in ink. Wade had seen it that very mornin', faint and unfinished on the boy. "You know him?" Wade asked, folding the paper as the kid slurped stew in a saloon booth too tall for him. The boy glanced, then nodded. "He's my pa." Wade leaned back. The room went colder, like every eye turned even if none had. "He ever teach you anythin'?" the boy thought, then wiped his mouth on a sleeve. "How to load a 6-gun, how to lie when you're scared, how to run when things go bad." Wade looked at him long, drained the coffee. "Time you learned something different." Weeks passed slow but sure. Wade didn't say much, but when he did, it landed like thunder on dry stone. The boy learned how to saddle proper, tend hooves, read wind for storm, learned quiet, learned patience. And Wade, without tryin', talked more than he had in years. One morning the name came without fanfare. Wade just muttered it like it had always been there. "Call you Eli." The boy blinked. "Eli," he said, "ain't never had a name." "Well," Wade said, "now you do." They was ridden a ridge 2 days north of Kettle Rock when the storm broke, not clouds but men. 6 of 'em on dark horses, dust masks up, rifles bristlin'. They came out the South Canyon like fire from a furnace, and Wade knew that look before the lead rider opened his mouth. "Gray sends regards," he called. Says blood runs in straight lines. Wade turned Eli's mount with one hand, reached for his rifle with the other. Stay low, he said. Don't run. You run, they take you. The boy didn't argue. Just slid behind a juniper stump, clutching. The .22 Wade let him carry. Gunfire started wild, bark and scatter. Wade dropped the lead rider with a clean shot to the chest, then rolled behind a boulder. Another screamed when his shoulder went soft. Horses screamed too, the kind of panic only bullets bring. By end, only one rider limped off, wounded and dragging fear behind him. Wade sat still, breathing deep. Eli came out slow, face streaked in grit, eyes wide but holden. Why'd they want me? Cause of your blood, Wade said. But blood don't decide what kind of man you are. Just the start. They buried the dead under flat stones. No prayers, no names. Come nightfall, a badge rode into Carson's Hollow. Marshal Eldridge, tired eyes, smooth drawl. Wade Mercer, he said. Heard you got a boy fits a description. Eli stood behind Wade, quiet. What description's that? Raglan Gray's son. There's a price. 50 for the old man, 20 for the whelp. Wade looked down at Eli, then back at the lawman. Don't see no whelp. Just a ranch hand I'm teaching the trade. The marshal stepped close. That a fact? Wade's hand drifted near his Colt. That's gospel. The wind played with the lawman's coat like a warning. After a long pause, he tipped his hat. Guess I was mistaken. Wade didn't breathe till his boots faded. Later that night, under stars sharp enough to bleed a man's thoughts, Eli said, You lied for me. Wade poked the fire. World don't always make space for the truth, but I ain't my pa, and I ain't the man I was neither. Silence held. You stay with me, Wade said. You keep learning. We'll make something different out of you. Eli said nothing, but Wade could feel the answer hanging there in the stillness, the kind that meant yes. Come morning, the world felt sharper, air crisp like the land had forgot its heat for a moment. Wade rose first, like always, rolled the coals with a stick and fed 'em slivers of mesquite till they glowed proper. Bacon hissed low in the skillet while horses stirred against their reins. Eli came out from under his wool blanket slow, yawning silent, boots already on. The boy moved quiet these days, half shadow, half habit. Wade watched him sip coffee black, not even wincing no more. He was learning. On the trail, they moved like smoke through chaparral, no hurry, no waste. Wade taught with his hands and short words. How to fix a cinch with twine, how to check wind with a wet finger, how to find the trail of a man who didn't want to be found. Eli soaked it all like dry ground soaks a flash rain. Not fast, but deep. By the third week on the trail, he could start a fire in wind, patch a saddlebag with rawhide, and sleep light enough to draw breath with his hand near iron. At night, Wade told stories the way a man confesses sins he don't expect to be forgiven for, slow and sideways. Eli didn't ask questions, just listened, staring up at stars like he was searching for a place to fit. Wade found himself watching the boy more, how he moved, how he kept that old .22 clean, how he never asked for more than his share. There was something about that kind of quiet that made a man hope again, and that scared Wade worse than any bullet. By the time they crossed into Red Bluffs territory, word had begun to ripple soft on the breeze. Riders seen in pairs, all in black. Ranch hands vanishing near canyon passes. A clerk in Bowie said 3 men bought cartridges with Gray's gang tattoos peeking from under their sleeves. Wade heard it all with the ears of a man who'd run too long to mistake coincidence for chance. Raglan Gray was on the move. Maybe not himself, but his dogs were sniffing, and they were getting close. We press east, Wade said, checking the cinches before dawn. Trails long but thin, fewer eyes. Eli nodded, not asking why. He didn't have to, he knew. The smell of threat hung like cordite in the back of the nose, even when the sky smiled clear. 2 days later, they pulled into a wind-blown town with no name, just a sign that said feed and mail, nailed sideways to a shack. One main street, one livery, and a general store run by a man with one arm and two opinions. They needed supplies, beans, lamp oil, salt. Wade sent Eli to the pump to fill the canteens while he bartered for a new pair of gloves. He didn't notice the boy was gone too long, till he heard a voice that hit like the click of a cocked hammer. "Ain't that a gray boy?" It came from a man lean as fence wire with a whiskey rasp and a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Wade turned slow, saw Eli frozen outside the store, water still running over the canteen's edge, face gone tight as dry hide. The man stepped closer, boots scuffing soft on the planks. "You're spittin' image of Raglan, you know that. Ain't many forget a face like his." Wade moved between them like fog rollin' off the hills. "You got business, you best mind it," he said low. The man tilted his head. "Ain't tryin' to stir. Just sayin' folk get curious when they see ghosts walkin'." Wade's eyes held his. "Then don't look." The man weighed his odds, sniffed, and backed off, mutterin' about nothin' and nobody. But the fire'd been lit. Wade felt it in every step after that, eyes on 'em, whispers that crawled like ticks. They rode out before sundown, faster than planned, pack only half loaded. Didn't matter. They couldn't stay. That night they camped high on a rocky ledge above dry washlands. No fire, no talk. Just the creak of saddle leather and the low whicker of horses restless with the same unease Wade felt. Eli sat with his back to a boulder, knees up, rifle across his thighs. "He ever come lookin'?" he asked after a long while. "Your father," Wade said. "No, never." "Then why now?" Wade stared into the dark. "Because he's lossin' ground. Men like him, they need legacy more'n they need breath. You're the last thread he can grab." Eli shifted. "You'd give me to him." Wade's jaw worked. "I'd put a bullet through him first." That sat heavy in the air a long time. Far off a coyote yipped high and lonesome. Then came an answer, closer. Then another, too many, too placed. Wade stood, listened hard, the hair on his arms rose. "Not coyotes, signals, mount up," he said sharp. "Now." Eli didn't hesitate. Horses moved fast through loose gravel, but Wade took a switchback trail east, cutting down into a narrow ravine where rock walls swallowed sound. They moved by moonlight, no lanterns, just instinct and prayer. After an hour they stopped beneath an overhang. Wade dismounted, crouched, ear to wind. Silence but not peace, the kind that comes before thunder. He turned to Eli. "They're close, you ready?" Eli looked up. His eyes held fear, but deeper still something else. "Fire." Wade nodded. "We hold here. If they find us, we stand. You remember what I told you." Eli's fingers curled round the rifle. "Aim small. Breathe slow. Don't shoot first unless I got to." Wade's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "That's right." Then on the wind, faint but there, the snort of a horse, rock shifting under hoof. A dry branch snapped. Wade turned toward the dark with iron in hand, heart beating slow but loud. The past had found them. No more running. They rode like hell woke up behind them. Hooves hit shale and flint hard enough to throw sparks. Horses sweating, heavy under saddle, breath bursting like steam in the cold cut of midnight. Wade pushed east through the wash, veering off the game trail and into raw country, terrain rough enough to stall pursuit, if not break a man outright. Wind howled through juniper and split rock like it was warning them to turn back, but there weren't no turning back left. Eli hung tight behind him, crouched low in the saddle, rifle strapped crosswise, eyes wide but steady. The boy wasn't asking questions no more. He knew what it meant when you heard riders in the dark. Wade's stallion, a hard-nosed roan named Luther, fought the reins with the heat of a spooked devil, but Wade held firm, knees digging in, boots braced. Every noise set nerves jangling like trapwire, a loose stone falling, the cry of some distant owl, branches breaking, under something that didn't walk right. Wade didn't need to see 'em to know they were there. You could feel it like dry lightning behind your eyes. Gray's men were close, too close, and they knew the land same as he did. By first light the trail narrowed to a throat of limestone and bitterbrush, sides climbing high and jagged, canyon walls that kept echo like secrets they didn't want to share. Wade slowed, listening. A twig snapped sharp on the rim above. Then another, not animal, no weight to it, just presence. He raised a hand, signaled Eli to stop. The boy pulled up gentle, lips pressed tight. They waited, breath shallow, eyes cutting through the early haze. Nothing moved. Then steel on stone. That scrape no man mistakes. Wade spun Luther hard and barked. Go! The canyon exploded. Gunfire cracked off the walls like a storm looking for a place to fall. Rock chips stung Wade's face, one slug skimming his hat brim clean off. Luther jumped sideways, hooves skidding on gravel. Eli's gelding reared once, then bolted. Wade didn't look back, couldn't. His world narrowed to survival. Rains, breath, the roar of hooves and fire. They thundered deeper into the gorge, shots still ringing behind them. One round slamming into Wade's saddlebag and set, his left side ablaze with pain. Didn't stop him. Couldn't. A side passage opened sharp to the left, barely wide enough for a horse and hope. Wade jerked Luther into it, the stallion crying out, and Eli followed close, ducking, under low stone with his shoulder near scrapping. They plunged into shadow, the path winding down through switchbacks so tight even sound got turned around. The ambushers didn't follow. Too narrow, too risky. Wade pulled up once they reached a hollow in the canyon floor, dead end for wagons but passable on foot. He dismounted slow, grit in his teeth, breath in fire. His side burned where the round had clipped him, not deep but wet. He checked it quick, teeth bared. Flesh wound, bleeding like it cared more than it should. Eli swung down quiet, eyes wide, jaw tight. You hit, Wade nodded once, tore a strip from his bedroll canvas and tied it off. Just enough to remind me I ain't made of steel. They stood there a minute, wind moving through the chasm with a sound like morning. Eli looked back up the way they came. Think they'll try the pass? Not on horses, Wade said, but they'll find another way round. He glanced at the sky, still gray, still early. We got a head start, but not a long one. We keep moving, stay off trail. The terrain shifted as they climbed, sharper rock, scattered boulders, brush thick with thorns. The kind of land where nothing grows unless it knows how to fight. Wade moved careful, watching for signs, a broken branch, fresh scat, boot tracks in dry mud. Every time he thought maybe they'd lost him, the wind would shift and he'd smell that telltale ghost of oilcloth and sweat, like the gang's scent clung to the air itself. Late that afternoon, they crossed into a flat stretch of high basin rimmed by bluff cliffs. No trees, just dry grass and scattered stone, the ground brittle under hoof. Wade held up his hand, signaling halt. He studied the open stretch ahead. Too clean, he muttered. Eli rode up beside him, whispering, trap, could be nothing, but we don't ride straight. Wade led them in a wide arc, cutting low behind rock spines, moving in half circles. Every minute he expected the crack of a rifle. None came, but that didn't ease him. Dusk found them deep in a pocket of the Badlands, a sprawl of broken earth and ridges that twisted on themselves, like the land got angry and tore its own skin. They made camp in a narrow gulch ringed by basalt spires, dry and hidden. No fire, just cold beans and colder silence. Wade sat with his back to a stone, legs out, one hand on his Colt. Eli rested across from him, eyes open, staring at nothing. Finally the boy spoke. You think he's with them? Raglan? Wade shook his head. Not yet, he don't ride with the dogs. He waits till the blood's been drawn, then steps in to claim the kill. Why's he want me now? Wade looked at him real hard. Because you're his son. Not a man alive don't get old and start thinking about what comes after. Eli looked away. I ain't him. No, Wade said, voice low, but you got his blood. That don't mean it owns you. They sat quiet again. Night deepened. Coyotes howled somewhere out beyond the rocks, their cries mournful as if the earth itself was hurtin'. Then something different, a whistle, not bird, not wind, patterned, 3 notes, silence, then again. Wade was on his feet before the third call ended. Eli mirrored him, rifle raised. Wade whispered, "Up the gulch wall." "Move." They scrambled, boots scrabbling for purchase on the rock face, dirt crumbling beneath fingers. No time for saddles, just weapons and boots and breath. Halfway up they heard it, horses. Below, 4 at least. 1 dismounted. Spurs clicked against stone. Voices low, too far to make words. Wade flattened against the rock, breath held tight, Colt drawn. Eli crouched beside him, knees trembling but eyes locked forward. Then came a new voice, closer, meaner. One Wade hadn't heard since a winter raid near El Paso. "Find the boy. Leave the drifter. Gray wants his kin." Wade's stomach turned to lead. They hadn't just found him. They'd surrounded him. The gulch wasn't shelter now, it was a noose. The gulch held its breath. Below, bootsteps crunched on gravel like bones under pressure. The whisper of leather, the metallic whisper of a rifle bolt slidden into place. Wade stayed still against the rock face, fingers curled round the grip of his Colt, the whole of him strung tight like barbed wire before a storm. Eli was just above him, body pressed into a cut in the stone, eyes wide but quiet. The .22 cradled against his chest like a child clinging to its last toy. Down in the gulch, voices murmured, clipped, mean, no patience left. "Ain't nowhere to go, he's up there. Kid too, circle wide, flush him out." Wade heard it, the shift of weight as a man stepped up the slope, boots slipping on shale. He braced, waited, another step, then another, close now. Close enough to smell his breath, whiskey, jerky, old sweat. Wade didn't hesitate. One clean shot cracked through the canyon like God slamming a gate. The man tumbled backward with a curse and a crash, body thumping against rock all the way down. Chaos lit up behind it, shouts, return fire, bullets sparking off the stone around Wade's head. He dropped low, grabbed Eli by the collar and shoved upward. "Climb." They scrabbled over the lip, breathing hard, shirts torn on stone teeth. Wade grabbed the reins of Luther, who'd been hidden in a cut above the wall, and slung Eli up into the saddle. "Hold on," he said, swinging up behind him. No time to look back. They tore across the ridge, hooves pounding, gunfire chasing them like wasps. One round hissed past Wade's ear, another clipped a horn off Luther's saddle. But the stallion kept running, deep-chested and sure-footed, born for this kind of hell. They didn't slow till the rocks gave way to sagebrush and the gulch disappeared behind a bend of bent stone. Wade pulled up under an outcrop and dropped off, breathing hard, blood from his side wound soaking, the belt he'd cinched around it. Eli slid down, silent, eyes big, hands still holding tight to the little rifle. "You all right?" Wade asked, voice rough. Eli nodded. Wade studied the boy, dust-streaked, sweat-glued, but standing straight. He nodded once proud, then looked to the west. The sun was dropping, fast behind the bluff line, painting everything blood-orange. But it wasn't just the sky that colored red. It was the wind. Change was common. Raglan gray was getting close. Wade could feel it in his spine, that old ache, the one that always came before death made up its mind who to visit. "He's ridden in now," Wade muttered. "Ain't got eyes on him yet, but I can smell the rot. They couldn't outrun it forever." Wade knew that. Every town they passed, every camp they left cold, the gang got closer. They weren't chasing. They were herding, pushing Wade and the boy toward a place Gray wanted. And Wade knew what kind of place that'd be, someplace alone, where no one interrupt the reckoning. That night they didn't make fire. Ate hard biscuit and cold beans again, crouched under a slab of rock that shielded them from sky eyes. Wade didn't sleep. Just sat with his rifle laid across his lap, feeling every tick of the wind like it was counting his time down. Eli lay beside him, back against the saddle, eyes closed but brows drawn tight. Even in rest, the boy knew the weight. Somewhere in the distance a horse whinnied. Then silence, long and wide. Wade looked up at the stars, sharp and pitiless. "They'll be on us come mornin'," he said. Eli opened one eye. "Then we fight." Wade didn't answer at first. Just let the silence hang. Then finally, "We do what we have to." By dawn they were already moving, south now into harsher land. The good trail veered east toward water and low passes, but Wade led 'em down through a canyon choked with thorn and scree, a path even the buzzards didn't favor. "This way?" Eli asked, squinting at the terrain ahead. "No choice," Wade said. "They'll expect the easy road." The land got worse by the hour. Heat rose fast, and with it the scent of dry rot and old stone. The horses sweated hard. Wade gave 'em rest when he could, but time was a noose drowing tighter with each hoofbeat. Come noon, they hit a dead stretch. No shade, no water, just bad land and worse air. Wade pulled them up under the shadow of a tall stone arch carved by time and wind. He leaned down, spat blood from where he'd bit his tongue. "We're nearin' the line," he said. "What line?" Eli asked. "The one where we stop runnin'." The boy looked at him. "We fight here," Wade nodded. "We stand here. This land's rough enough to give us a chance. Ain't no back trail left, and I ain't handin' you over to a bastard like Gray." Eli looked down at his boots. "Even if he is my blood," Wade placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Blood's just dirt in the veins unless you make it mean something. You made it mean different." They spent the rest of the day digging in. Wade found a narrow cut near the arch deep enough to hunker, overlooking the approach from both sides. He strung a tripline across the path, scattered shale where boots would crunch, set his spare rounds close. Eli helped, not asking questions, just doing. Sun dipped low again. The sky turned brass and violet. Wade sat with his back to the stone, rifle cleaned and loaded. Eli sat close, legs pulled up, eyes never leaving the ridge beyond. And then as the last light died they heard it, hoofbeats, distant, slow, not rushed, confident. Wade's jaw clenched. He knew that rhythm. 4 riders, maybe 5, spaced wide. They weren't scouts, they were sweepers. And behind them something colder. "He's here," Wade said. "Gray, yeah, he's just behind 'em. Let them boys flush us. He'll walk in after." Eli took a breath. "I'm ready." Wade turned his head, looked at him long. The kid was holding the rifle proper, shoulders tight, no tremble, just heat behind the eyes. Wade nodded slow. "Then stay low, keep your shots clean. Don't waste nothing." The hoofbeats stopped. Silence. Wade adjusted the sights on his Winchester, thumbed the hammer back. Eli did the same with his .22. The dry wind cut through the gap, carrying the smell of sweat, dust, and something else, anticipation. Down the slope the first shadow moved. The first shadow moved slow, like it wasn't in no hurry to die. Wade tracked it with the rifle, breathing through his teeth, eyes narrowed, thumb on the hammer. The wind pushed dry across the rocks, bringing the scent of sweat, gun oil, and fresh-cut leather. One man came into view, dark vest, wide stance, rifle low but ready. Another behind him, younger, cocky in the way men get when they ain't earned fear yet. Wade didn't fire. Not yet. Let 'em come closer. Let 'em think they had time. Beside him, Eli steadied his .22, jaw tight, hands firm. Wade whispered, "Not till they fire. No wasted bullets." The first man stepped past the tripline and didn't notice. The second did, froze, looked down, too late. Wade squeezed. The rifle kicked once. The man fell without sound. The other yelled and dove, bullets barking wild. Eli returned fire, sharp, short bursts, missing the first but hitting the second in the leg. Screaming followed, scrambling boots. Then silence again. Wade reloaded fast, not speaking, eyes flicking downslope. The gang scatter now, circle wide. Tried to come up high and close in from both flanks. Textbook. Didn't matter. They only needed to kill time. That's all Wade ever did anymore, hold things off long enough for the next thing to come. 20 minutes passed slow. Then another voice floated up, calm and cruel. Wade Mercer, I'd hoped we'd talk before the shootin' started. Wade didn't answer. Just kept his eyes on the slope. The voice got closer. He your boy now. He's mine, Wade called back. More than he ever was yours. That drew a chuckle, rough as boot scrape on bone. All I ever wanted was to pass something down. World don't leave much room for that. You pass down nothing but hate and scars, Wade growled. That boy ain't carryin' either. Silence again. Then came the crunch of boots. Louder now, closer. Wade spotted him at last, walking straight up the cut path. No rifle raised, no fear in his step. Raglan gray. Weathered long and mean, with a coat of black duster and a face carved from old grudges. His hand hovered near his hip. Not touchin', just waitin'. Ain't gotta be like this, he said. He's blood. Blood don't mean ownership, Wade answered. Means responsibility. Gray smiled, but it didn't reach nothin'. I gave him life. You're givin' him lies. I'm givin' him a chance. And with that the moment snapped. Gray went for his iron fast, faster than Wade remembered, but Wade didn't aim for the draw. He'd already drawn. The bullet caught Gray in the thigh, twisting him sideways with a grunt. Gray fired as he fell, shot going wild and bitten, into the stone above Eli's head. Wade rolled out, fearing again. The second shot hit Gray's shoulder, slamming him back into the rock wall. But the man didn't drop. Not yet. He gritted his teeth and staggered to his knees, gun still in hand. That's when Eli moved. The boy rose up from cover, rifle tight against his chest, breath shallow. Wade started to yell but stopped. Eli stepped forward, eyes locked on Gray. "Drop it," he said. His voice was firm, not loud, not scared, just done. Gray turned, eyes bleed in pride and spite. "You think you got the guts to shoot your own blood?" Eli didn't flinch. "You already spilled it. I'm just stopping the leak." A long beat passed. The wind picked up. Then Gray grinned, raised the gun, not quick, not fast enough, and Wade couldn't get a clean angle. But Eli fired first. One shot, center chest. Gray blinked once, then crumpled like a man lost the last of himself. Silence poured over the canyon like water over ash. Wade stood slow, heart beating heavy, eyes on the boy. Eli lowered the rifle. Shoulders sagged, not from weakness, from weight. Wade walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder. Said nothing. Didn't need to. Together they checked the body. Gray was gone. The past buried in dust and lead. The gang, they'd run or died or lost their teeth now that the head was gone. Wade didn't care to chase them. He'd had enough blood for one lifetime. By sunrise the sky turned soft. Pink and gold crept over the stone like apology. Wade packed slow, saddle cinched tight, ribs sore but breathin'. Eli worked beside him, quieter than usual but firm in his movements. No boy left in him now, just the shape of a man still bane carved. They rode out through the far pass, horses steady, no hurry. The trail ahead looked long and mean, same as ever, but the kind of long that didn't feel like runnin'. Felt more like earnin'. Wade broke the silence sometime after noon. "You all right?" Eli nodded, eyes on the horizon. "He was my father, but he weren't my family." Wade looked at him, then gave the faintest of nods. "You're mine now. If you want it." Eli thought a moment. "I do." They rode on. The wind picked up behind them, blowing, the scent of spent gunpowder and old ghosts clean off the trail. Wade glanced back once, then faced forward. Ahead lay towns, dust, more damn horses to break. Maybe a place to stop. Maybe not. Didn't matter. The boy was learnin'. And Wade, after all these years, was finally teachin'. The one thing he never got taught himself, how to be good. You've been riding with old Western stories. If the tale hit your mark, give it a like, drop a comment about your favorite part, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next trail we ride. Don't forget, hit that subscribe so you're always in the saddle and you'll always be ready when the next story rises.